Hello, hello, hello. As per usual, the it cut off whilst I was busy recording, so the first signature is now sewn in. So we'll try to promptly go on to the first one. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So it's sewn in like that. If you look there, you can see the holes, and if you look at the back, it looks like that. Right, so I'm going to promptly go on to the next one so that the video doesn't cut off before I've actually shown all of it, okay? So I'm going to take my paper that I made originally, make sure that the top is at the top and the bottom is at the bottom. Take the signature, go through and make sure that the papers are where you want them in the signature. You know, top, middle, left. I want this one more to the middle. I want this one at the top. I want that one, I think, at the top as well. Okay, so you get the general idea. Just gonna try and get that a little bit even. Alright, and we're gonna open it up to the middle. There we go, and we're going to put in that thingy that says top to bottom. Make sure it's lined up and clip it there. Okay, just want to make sure that it's right. Again, a little bit skew, so just going to push all of that in there tightly. I'm not sure if my previous video cut off before I said this or after I said this, but it's not as difficult as I'm making it look, maybe. I'm just wanting to really show you all the little intricate bits, because those are the things that are not shown in other videos, and then they make it look easy, and then when you have to do it, then you struggle with doing that. Okay, so the only idea of why I'm doing it so detailed is that you can really, when you troubleshoot or when you have a problem, that you can actually figure out what that problem is, and that you are able to fix it on your own. Otherwise, I hear a lot of people that say doing the binding is a really horrible part of making a journal, and I think if you do it in a way that makes more sense and sort of overcomes the obstacles, then it's not such a difficult ordeal, you know. Let me just find that one. There we go. Right, so got those holes. Now I'm going to line this up to that page to make sure that it's in the exact same spot, or as close as I can to the exact same spot. Okay, alright, so that, okay, you can see that's off, so I'm just gonna move it slightly. Alright, okay, but this is skew as well, so that doesn't help. I need to use this side as my measurement. Okay, so that's correct. Okay, so again, gonna take a pen, and just where these holes are, I'm just gonna make a mark and a mark on each one of them. Oh, that moved. Let's just get it back in. Okay, and a mark. This is just a more or less. I'm using the light that shines against the white paper to actually put the hole into the, okay, so there's my first little mark, and my line is actually significantly to this side. Okay, so I'm pressing it through. There's my mark, but there's my line, so I'm pressing it on the line. So just following the exact same thing that I did earlier. All 3 signatures is basically a repeat of each other. Okay. But for your signatures to be in the correct place, I do suggest if it's a multiple number that you sew in the one side, then the other side, and then sort of keep working yourself towards the middle and to try and get it as centered as you possibly can on the last. Now this one I can't see the mark. Alright, there it is. And just going on the line that I can see through the paper. Okay, so there we go. We've got this one. That's the top. Before I undo that, I just want to get some thread into my needle. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to again do a double thread. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not an exact measurement. I'm just giving myself enough room. If you're using a really expensive twine or an expensive bookbinding yarn and that you want to be really frugal on it, then obviously you can calculate it exactly. You're going to go once this way, once that way, and you need enough to tie it off. So you actually in actual fact need 2 lengths of the book to do the actual binding, and then you need a little bit extra room for being able to tie it up. Okay, so I'm just gonna tie it up there, and then again I'm going to tie it up to my paper clip just to give myself wiggling room there, wiggly room. Alright, not tight. I did it too tight the previous round around that you didn't see. Alright, so I struggled a bit to undo that. Okay, so I'm just going to take off this. I'm going to rebind it again. This is where you want to put enough clips on to make sure everything is tight and not going to move whilst you try to sew it in. It's really up to you. There's not a right and a wrong method. It's just making sure it doesn't move whilst you sew in the signatures. Okay. Right. So again, I'm going to start on this one. I said you can start at any hole you want to. It doesn't matter. You will always end up at the same hole again, right? So again, I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to push this through there, and I'm going to pull it right through up to the paper clip. So the paper clip stops this from going through. Okay, I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to just show this sort of slightly differently. This, well, you didn't see the first time, but right, I'm gonna go in there and then back into the next hole. Alright, and then I'm gonna take that and put it through the hole I made there, and there we are. Okay, so pulling it tightly, not tight, just pulling it through. We will pull it tight at the end, going through the next hole and through the next hole. Now a 3 pamphlet stitch, that's already what you've got. That's the stability you've got. Okay, let me pull it through and then show you what stability you've got. Alright, so have a look here. That's what a 3 pamphlet stitch would give you, 3 holes. Look how unequal it is. So that's the reason why how wiggly, unstable it is. That's the reason I like the more stitches binding method, because it gives you a whole lot more stability on the book. It makes it tight. Nothing is going to fall out, even if you have small pages. I saw somebody coastal, no, maybe okay, now it's too late, now I've mentioned it. I saw Coastal Crafter bind a book the other day, and she actually had to take out a page here because she realized it wasn't going to fit into the 3 system binding. Sorry, Coastal Crafter. You know it's not meant as bad. I'm just trying to show an example. So it is important to make sure that all the pages that you are putting into the journal is actually captured in your binding. Whatever binding method you choose, it's not a problem, but make sure that each and every page is actually secure in that binding, because often a 3 pamphlet stitch, in my opinion, doesn't do that. It doesn't make it secure. Right, so none of this is pressed, is taught. I get to the end of this row, and then I go back 1 stitch, and then I will pull this all. Okay, that's my last one, going into, not wanting to go into my last hole. Just trying to just wiggle it so it can sort of naturally find the hole, and there we go. All right, okay, now I'm gonna go back once into the last hole I left. All right, I don't want that to get, okay, it is on the side, that's fine. Okay, now I'm just gonna pull this whole thing tight, so I'm just gonna make sure, okay, to go back, and that one is tight, that one is tight. Don't pull too much because you can tear the holes through the, you know, you can tear the whole thing apart, you know, the thread can tear the paper. All right, okay, so that is pulled tightly, and you'll see on the back it's pulled tightly. So this one is where I am now. All right, and then go back through there, through the last one, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until it finds its natural hole. Okay, now again, I'm not even sure if I said it in this one. I'm just untying that paper clip now. You see, I'm back at the hole where I started. So it doesn't really matter how many holes you've got, it doesn't matter how far apart they are. You will always end up, only with the 3 pamphlet stitch do you not end up where, actually you do. Let's just see, 1, 2, 3. Actually, if you did the same method, you would end up at the same place, I think. I'm just quickly calculating it in my head, and it seems it would, but either way, this system, it doesn't matter how many holes you make, and you can start at any hole, you will end up at the same place where you started. Okay, just gonna clip that off. All right, put that needle in a safe place. All right, make sure everything is tight. I did make sure it was tight when I was doing it, so it's fine, and tie it off. Now, I said this in the previous video that you didn't see. In a 3 pamphlet stitch this year, to try and get that tight and then tie another knot is extremely difficult. With this method, it's not difficult at all. It doesn't want to go anywhere, it doesn't want to jump anywhere, nobody has to come and hold their finger there or anything like that. Pretty easy, and there it's bound. Just leaving that for now to give myself options for later as I decide what to do. Okay, then untying these. Right, now we want to calculate the middle signature, which we already did. I'm going to sort of just try and show that in the light. You see that's exactly in the middle. All right, and we're going to follow the exact same procedure. So we're just going to check where's up, where's down, where on the page are the pages. I'm fine with that, fine with that. I'm going to put this one up slightly. Alright, purple one, that one I want at the bottom to sort of act like a pocket. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm determining where do I want each page. Okay, and that one I want in the middle. Okay, alright, so there's my signature. Just gonna just gonna give it a quick bump, make sure it's equal. Alright, you can go on forever sorting this. I mean, that's up to you how precise and how exact you want it. So again, putting in the top at the top and the bottom at the bottom. Do you see why it's critical to write top and bottom on it? Because you might not, you know, between doing all the bits and bobs, you might actually forget which side was up. Alright, so I'm gonna press a hole through there. Okay, now I'm not using the clips right now, so you can see as you grow a little bit more accustomed, you will be able, obviously also depending on how big the book is, how big the pages are, whether you can actually hold it like this. But I'll bind it now. When I take this little piece of carton out, I'll put binder clips on it so it doesn't move. Alright, I take that out and put binder clips on it. Okay, now this middle one is a bit icky. I need to find, so I'm just gonna catch it on that first page because it's not gonna catch over the whole thing. My clips is not big enough. You can readjust your clips as you go on, but I mean just for, okay, so that one's scored both ways. I just want another one there. Alright, there we go. Let's just see if that is equal. Looks okay. Alright, so again we're gonna, I think, and now I lost, okay, that's upright writing, so now I know where the top is, but I did make a mistake there. You guys saw that. Okay, so sorry, just aligning that again with this page. Alright, and then sort of in the middle here, more or less, just making a marking where my hole should be. Sorry, I'm hoping my head wasn't in front of the camera there. It's difficult sometimes to do this not like right in front of it, because you kind of tend to want to work over your work, not from the side. Okay, and again I'm going to take that against the light and just press in the holes. And it actually becomes easier because now I've got that hole, that hole, that I've got the side holes as well as my marking to tell me where the hole should go. And you can make sure that it's really aligned, you know. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's get some thread on our needle. Alright. Alright, so we've got once a book length, 2 book lengths, 3 book lengths, 4 book lengths. I'm gonna give myself a 5th one and just cut that thread. Okay, gonna pull it through the needle. Don't get a needle that's too small, it just makes life difficult for you. The bigger the needle, the better. Obviously, if you're working with an itsy bitsy tiny little book, then I suppose a small needle will be better, but I even use this big needle on my tiny books. It does make a bit of a big hole, and I suppose you can do it better if you use a smaller hole, but it's nice to have one that my needle is not an obstacle to me. You understand? Don't buy tools that becomes an obstacle to you. Alright, now I just want to put in the paper clip again. This is a big deal because people often work this way and then they can't get this one. They pull the thread through the paper and then they have to start over again, and you can't pull too tightly because just now you pulled your thread through. So this is an easy way of doing it without having to try and make sure that this doesn't get pulled through. Okay, alright, going in my first hole, pulling it through up to the paper clip. Alright, then going through my first hole there and pulling it through. Alright, going to my second hole. It's not worth pulling anything tight before you've actually got 3 or 4 holes in. I actually work right the way down and then work my first stitch on the next, you know, so that line is tight, and then I start pulling everything really tightly. Alright, so go in there, just make sure you don't catch the paper clip thingy. Alright, go in there and trying to show it to the camera, going in there. I caught something here. Obviously just regulate yourself as you go that you don't snag on anything. Alright, next hole there. Looking for the next hole here. Wiggle, 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 wiggle until it sort of naturally finds the hole. Sorry, maybe I should clip these pages away so you guys can see better. I can see, but I'm not sure you can see through waving papers. Right, let's do that. And I'll do the other one just now. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this one. Ouch. That was an ouch. Don't do that. Alright. Put it through there and then wiggle, 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 wiggle until it finds, okay, it's through, but it's not gone through this very large little white page. Just pulling it slightly back. There we go. Okay. Pull it through. Okay, I can see I've got a bit hanging over there. I'm just going to pull it slightly tighter. Alright, going in that hole. And make it going out that hole. In there. Finding that there, wiggle, 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 and there it's found its natural hole. Alright, out that side. Sorry. I've actually got 2 angles to show it to the camera and me. That's not so easily done is what it is said. Easier said than done. Alright, and then that's the last hole. And find the last hole there. Wiggle, 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 wiggle until it finds its natural, until it finds the hole you made. There we go. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to put it back into there before I start really pulling on the strings. Okay, I'm going to go back through there. Okay, right, now what I'm going to do, so I came out here the first time, so I'm just going to pull that tight, pull the next one tight, pull the next one tight, not too tight so that you start tearing your paper, no? And pull that one tight. Alright, and then pull this one. Okay, this one's struggling a little bit. Just going to pull these two strings apart and try to see which, there we go. Get my string equal again. Alright, so you can see that's tight, that's tight. I'm gonna go back into the next hole. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Not finding its hole. Okay. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There we go. Okay. Just making sure it's tight enough. Out there. In there. Out there. So you see that if you find a binding method that overcomes all those instability issues, then the binding is really not a big deal. The binding is really, really, really not a big deal. Okay, so now remember we went da-da-da-da-da. So the last one was the one I had to pull tight. So I'm just going to pull on every second one again to make sure it's tight. That one is, I caught that one on itself. Okay, slightly not tight because I caught that one on itself. But again, this is going to be covered with my other one. But if you did it a little bit neater than me, you can now go back. I can go back out here. Alright, and try to fix what I did there. But I might also be going in the wrong way, so I might be creating a bigger problem. But as you learn, probably I shouldn't have done that on camera. No, gonna make my name a pawpaw. But it's good to see how to fix things, you know. It's good to see if you do it wrong, what must you do to fix it. Okay, so I'm just sort of backtracking on myself here. Let's see, that one is the one caught. Right. I'm not sure if I can undo that. Alright, let's just calculate. So I came out. So this one needs tightening and that one needs tightening. Okay, then the second one, then the second one. Alright, then this one, then the second one, then the second one there, and now I'm gonna go through there. In the middle of the paper clip. That won't work. Oh, that's what's going on. I caught the paper clip on there. That is why. Okay. Pull this out. Pull that paper clip to this side. Okay. Alright, pulling that in and pulling it tight. Okay, there we go. Alright. And snipping this, put the needle in a safe place. No, need the needle to undo the paper clip. Oh no, I did that. Okay, there, paper clip untied. Alright, and you tie it up. Okay, so that's sewing in the signatures. Alright, the next thing I'm going to show you is just doing the cover. For each person that's a different process, so there's a whole bunch of cover tutorials. So in essence what I'm gonna do, I'll show you this now. In essence what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make this a pocket and decorate that. I'm going to make this a pocket and decorate that. Okay, then I'm going to take this wallpaper, I'm going to fold it over on those two sides, and I'm going to calculate the bottom, and I'm going to fold it over similarly to that. Okay, then I'm going to stick that down. We're going to cut out that little corner, and I'm going to stick this down. Okay, then wherever that folds, so if that looks like that, I'm actually going to put this over the top. Alright, like that. I like the idea of it giving it a good protective layer around it. Okay, like that, like that, and then I'm going to fold this over. Alright, so now you see my idea was to have this fold over even more, which might still work. Let's just see. So my book ends here. Okay, so no, it's going to give me too little space. So I'm literally going to find the middle here. I'm going to do this fold on this side. Alright, and then find the middle here, and then basically glue this into this. You can sew it in as well. You can sew around there and sew on the other side around there. Okay, so it makes it slightly more decorative. Okay, but I would suppose that would be hand sewing. I suppose you can sew sort of from the middle there, you know, and then the same on this side, and then glue the rest. Again, the book, how the book develops itself. Okay, so it dictates itself. So let me just show you what the signatures looks like. So there we go. There's the signatures sewn in. Right. Each page is caught multiple times. I want to specifically show you that small page. Not sure. Okay, like that. That little page was caught 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close to a 6th time, but not really a 6th time. So that's properly sewn in. This book is not going to ever fall apart. Okay, unless you take scissors or a knife to it. It's a well bound book. Okay, now I want to show you the in-between space here. Alright, so that's how much space we've got left here. In my opinion, it's good. This will grow quite easily to incorporate those spaces. Okay, however, if you do feel it's not good enough, very easy to make an eyelet hole there, put an elastic through. What's nice about this is the elastic will then sit on this side that is going to be covered by this, so you're not going to see it on the outside. Very easy to do it that side as well. Okay, and if you like the idea but you did this correctly, you can also do that at the front on that fold. You can also put in an elastic, and the same for the back. Very easy to do. Okay, all right. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to put I'm going to put a ribbon closure or a piece of material or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate that. I'm going to make a slit here and a slit there for that to go through. I'm going to glue that ribbon there so it's tight, and then so when the book closes, the ribbon will come out of the spine here, around, and out of the spine here and around. Okay, but there's many different ways of doing that. I'm just showing. So in essence, if this was a good cover, all right, if this was a good cover and not a double cover like I'm doing, then this is a junk journal. All right, I'm not finished with the series, do not panic. I do want to do a bit of decorating with you, basic decorating, and there's a few formulas that I want to sort of discuss with you to help you make it a balanced book, okay? But in essence, this is a junk journal, all right? It would be called a naked journal at this stage because it's not got any decoration in it. So there are people that literally sell naked journals. You would now obviously first need to glue some of the pockets in, get this in, that sort of thing, but in essence this is a done junk journal. All right, next time we're going to do the cover, and after that we're going to, I might even leave the cover for last, because sometimes this gets roughened up because you're working with the book the whole time. So I prefer doing my cover at the end, because that allows me for this to stay nice and crisp, everything beautiful, and then attach it at the end. And I mean, it's literally, if you're not going to do it my way, it's literally just sticking this with glue onto that, there, done. You know, you can even cut it off there, and you've got this on the outside, beautiful journal. Okay, many methods to do that. All right, if there's any questions, pop them down below. I'm hoping my binding method helped some people that are struggling or that get sort of hung up on the binding. You know, if you do it in a method that's not unstable, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, it's actually very easy to do, and it doesn't become a big difficult ordeal to overcome. Okay, have a nice day.